ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम्। This verse about Hanumanji, of course, is a famous one, but it says, Anjana Nandanam Veeram. Anjana Nandanam Veeram. That great personality is the son of Anjana Devi. Janaki Shoka Nashanam, one who destroyed the lamentation of Sita Devi by carrying the message to Sri Ramachandra and ultimately being the instrument that by whom Sri Ramachandra used to come to Lanka to release Sita Devi from the clasp of Ravana. Kapisha, the leader of the best of the Kapis, the monkeys, the Vanaras, Aksha-Hantaram. Now, Aksha-Hantaram can also mean he killed all the Rakshasas, but particularly the one who killed the son of Ravana, Aksha. Aksha-Hantaram, Vande, I offer our respects, obeisances, homage. Vande Lanka Bhayankaram, one who put the entire Lanka in fear, which we're getting hints of it as we're reading chapter after chapter, of how Lanka was put into a complete state of fear, anxiety, paranoia even. With each chapter, it is not said, but we can understand from certain words that Valmiki uses that the intensity of Ravana's fear, first it started as nuisance, it became irritation, it became anger, which now is going to transform into some sort of fear. For the meditation of these chapters, we need a point where we can hold our consciousness and see things from there. There are many such verses. One such verse, since we are students of Bhagavad Gita as well, in the 8th chapter, verse number 7, Krishna tells Arjuna, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasi asamshayah. First he says, Asamshayah mam evashyasi. You will attain me or you will reach me asamshaya, without any doubts. One is that you will attain me. There is no doubt that you will attain me. Okay. Krishna's guarantee. Actually, the Bhagavad Gita is full of guarantees by Krishna. All that there is some prescription, and one follows that carefully, then the outcome is guaranteed. And in this case, he says, Mam evaishyasi, you will come to me, and there is no doubt about it. Another way to see this is, if we follow what Krishna is telling us, we will be free of all doubts. Mam evaishyasi, asamshaya evaishyasi, that you will come, you will not have any doubts when you come to me. And the way to do that is tasmat, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, at all times, not during selected times, not during certain parts of the day, not during certain days of the week, not during certain months of the year, but all times, every day, every week, every month, and many parts of the day. In fact, all parts of the day. The day is divided into 8 yamas, or 8 3-hour blocks, of which some go in sleep. But at least when we are awake, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. And when he says tasmat, it means one must do it. Therefore, mam anusmara. He didn't say mam smara, he says anusmara. Anusmara has a couple of meanings. Anusmara means thought after thought. That means a continuous meditation upon Krishna, upon Sri Ramachandra, upon the Lord of our heart, whoever that personality is. Anusmara also means don't make up your own style. Follow the great acharyas. Tasmat mam anusmara. Okay, so I should just sit and meditate on the Supreme Lord. He says, Yudhyacha, you're not, you don't have the license to just sit in one place and do nothing. You're meant to go and struggle in the day-to-day aspects of life. Now, this Yudhyacha again has one external meaning, one internal meaning. External meaning is fight, in the sense, go and take care of your duties, whatever that duties are. For a man, for a woman, and each, it's not like they're very specific. Nowadays, everybody has varieties of duties. And it is a struggle. It's a fight. It's the fight with the mind and the senses. Or using the mind and the senses, he's asking us to fight. Fight the situation. But another yuddha is that there is a lot of internal noise. There was one, I think I've said this previously, there was one Christian monk who used to live up in a castle or a monastery up on the hill. And the whole year they would stay there. Once a year, he would come down into the village. That's it, just once in a year. So somebody asked him, when you are living up in the mountain, in the monastery, it must be quiet here. When you come back to the village, it must be so noisy. I'm sure you enjoy the quiet seclusion there. He said, no, actually, up in the mountain, in the monastery, it is louder. Here it is not as loud. And the meaning is that what we hear in the village, people talking, people selling things, having conversations, sitting in the cafeteria, talking, going about their businesses, is a very noisy affair. But up in solitude, he has to deal with the noise or the clutter, the whole loud struggle with the mind and the senses. That is louder. It says, Yudhyacha, don't give up the fight. The give up the fight here, not give up the fight here is apply yourself every day according to my teachings, Arjuna. the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana, the Bhagavata, Mahabharata, the works of the Acharyas, there is so much for us to take and to refine and to digest. And that's all part of Anusmara. Mai arpita manaha buddhi. Generally, the mind and intelligence, they work together, mano buddhi. And every arpita, every offering is to pursue a certain desire. He says, Mai arpita, offer your thoughts and intelligence to me. Offering thoughts and intelligence means thoughts are, how can I be of service to Guru and Krishna in the situation? And the intelligence should guide it. Oh, by such and such episode in scripture, by such and such shloka in scripture, by the example of such and such devotee in the Shastras, this is applicable. What was their consciousness at that time? Can you emulate that to whatever degree you can? My dear Krishna, I'm trying, but ultimately you are the doer, you are the protector, you're the nourisher. Please guide my thoughts and intelligence, my decisions, my discrimination. If one lives like that, Krishna is telling us, Mam evaishyasi asamshaya. And asamshaya, in those situations, when one considers that way, there's no doubt. Should I act this way? Should I act that way? Generally, the clash comes from what the outcome will be, and therefore, what should be my decision? We are being trained by the Bhagavad Gita that our considerations are what is pleasing to Krishna, what is pleasing to Sri Ramachandra. And therefore, Hanuman is constantly standing on the Torana to tell us that Mai Arpita Mano Buddhi, Hanuman's Mana and Buddhi is completely dedicated to Sri Ramachandra. And so he has no doubts of any kind. He is very clear. In this case, he's fighting. He's attacking one after the other the members of Ravana's army, and Ravana is sending each time a higher grade of demon. First, he sent the 80,000 small foot soldiers. Though themselves are very powerful. Hanuman finished them. Then the five army generals, the seven army generals, with all of their armies, they were finished. And the five, the powerful ones, they were finished. And now Ravana is literally at his wit's end. And therefore, Ravana turns to his dear son, younger son, Aksha. Sometimes they call him Akshay, but it's Aksha. When Hanuman saw that his Senapati, when Ravana saw that his Senapati, Prahasta's sons and other followers were completely finished off so quickly by Hanumanji, including not just the armies, but their vehicles, their horses, elephants. We heard last week, Hanuman took one horse and smashed other horses. He picked up an elephant and smashed other elephants. He picked up a chariot and smashed other chariots. He just crushed everyone with his chest, with his arms, with his fists, nails, teeth, claws, everything. The shala tree that he picked up. Samiksha Raja Samaruddhatan Kumaram Aksham Prasamaikshat Akshatam. Ravana looked very intently at his son, Prasamaikshat Akshatam, unto his son Aksha. Kumaram Aksham Prasamaiksha Akshatam. The poetry of Valmiki is just interesting how such alliterations are there in all these words. Prasamaiksha, he looked very intently. Aksham, at his son, Aksha. Kumaram, his very dear son. And told him what he needs to do. Aksha felt so energized. Ah, finally, I have been called on by my father to fight this monkey. And he rose with such enthusiasm. The visual, Valmiki, because Valmiki, although is writing, is very much giving us an entire visual picture. It's like watching a movie through words. He says, Dvijati mukhyai havisha eva pavakaha. When in a yagya, at the end of it, the brahmanas take the purnahuti and offer it into the fire, and suddenly the fire goes to such intensity. That is how Aksha got up. In his blazing heart, Ravana put the desire for killing Hanuman or fighting with Hanuman, and he became so rejoiced. Ah, I will do it. He got on a chariot that was bright like the morning sun. The chariot and he were covered with armor that was not made of nasty iron. It was made of pure gold, and not just pure, refined gold. So it was shining like fire, like how molten gold is. Tapta Kanchana. Uh, Srimati Radharani, Sita Devi, they're all referred to as Tapta Kanchana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. The gold has an effulgence, but gold that is molten has very a higher grade of effulgence. And he ran, or he went with force towards Hanuman. As he was going, the speed, he was moving apparently at the speed of the mind. Manojava ashwa varaihi suyojitam. The speed was almost at the speed of the mind. Although Hanuman is called Manojavam, here Valmiki is telling us that he is the Aksha Kumar or Aksha sitting in his chariot pulled by Ashta Ashvavaraihi, best quality 8 horses that moved or pulled the chariot at the speed of mind. This chariot could not be stopped by anybody, whether suras or asuras. There's no match. And it moved without any obstacle, hindrance, nothing to slow it down. And it had all these bells that were decorating the chariots. As it's going, the bells are ringing and the clanging noise is causing fear in everyone's heart. Oh, Akshay Kumar is here. And throughout the chariot, it was fully arranged with lances, spears, uh, tridents, bows, arrows, all the fancy weapons. Akshar looked as if he is equal to all the demigods and celestial beings. And he filled the space like the sun fills the sky with light. The environment was filled with clanging noises. And with him, his army, the elephants were trumpeting, the horses were neighing, the army was calling out war cries. And he approached Hanumanji, who was standing on the Toranam. Balaihi sametaihi sahi Toranam sthitam samarthamasinam upagamat kabim. Samarthamasinam. Hanuman was very efficient, who was very capable. Upagamat kapim, he approached Hanuman. There, Hanuman stood like the fire that destroys the 3 worlds. And Akshay Kumar, with his yellowish eyes, here his eye color is also given us. Hari Ikshanaha. Hari sometimes is green, sometimes referred to as yellow, because turmeric is called Haridra, yellowish. So with his yellow, fierce eyes, he looked at Hanuman. Hanuman, they're looking at each other, and Akshay Kumar was assessing Hanuman's strength, ability. And it's very important because when facing off an army, it's not just one jumps blindly and it doesn't have a strategy, doesn't have good assessment of the competition. He's studying Hanuman's size, his muscles, his power, looking into the eyes to see if there's any fear in Hanuman. By looking at him, he's assessing his own strength. What all do I have? How am I going to fight with Hanuman? Then he understood Hanuman is not some ordinary Vanara. He's going to be a formidable enemy for him. And so, as part of this Rajasic activity, Rajasic quality to fight, Aksha's anger became stronger because you have to show, I'm angry at you. He composed himself mentally because he was getting agitated of the desire to just spring and fight with Hanuman, and started shooting arrows at Hanuman, one after the other. And the more and more arrows he was throwing at or shooting at Hanuman, Akshay Kumar's earrings, his golden chain, and bracelets were all shaking and moving because that's the speed with which Aksha is shooting arrows at Hanuman. Then Hanuman came, approached him, and they got together to fight. This was an unmatched. Some people had not seen something like this because no one stands in front of Akshay Kumar. So Valmiki tells us, Rarasa bhumi na tatapa bahuman vavayo na vayu prachachala na achalaha kape kumarasya cha viksha samugyam nanada chadyau udadhi cha chukshubhe. Oh, I mean, the poetry of it. Rarasa bhumi. Rarasa bhumi, that on that earth, both of them were bellowing loudly. They were roaring. Na tatapa bahuman. The um, the I'll read the translation instead of me explaining word by word. Valmiki says that when Aksha and Hanuman got together to fight, the earth completely uproared. Rarasa bhumi. Na tatapa bahu bhanuman. The sun just did not glow. Or the sun did not shine brightly or did not make it very intense. Vavau na vayuhu. Wind stopped moving. Prachachala cha achalaha. The mountains were shaking. Achala means one doesn't move. Prachachala started to shake, started to shiver. Kape kumarasya cha viksha samugyam. Looking at the son of Ravana and Kapehe, Hanumanji, when everyone saw them get together, Nanada cha dyauhu udadihi cha chukshubhe. The sky, Nanada, there was this thundering noise in the sky. And Udadi cha chukshubhe, the ocean also became agitated. That's the kind of fight these two are having. Can you visualize? The earth was roaring, the sun was not shining strongly, wind was not moving, the mountains were trembling, the sky was reverberating with noises, and the ocean was agitated. That's the kind of fight. Then Akshay is shooting arrows at Hanuman's, and in fact, hitting Hanuman's head. 3 arrows went right into Hanuman's head. And these arrows looked like venomous serpents. While Hanuman is oozing blood, Akshay looked, yet Hanuman was looking like shining with the redness like the morning sun. This is the comparison again and again. Every time Hanuman's head or face is bleeding, we get the analogy of the rising sun, that it's bright. And the arrows stuck on Hanuman's head looked like the rays of the morning sun. Then both of them, although they are fighting with each other, both of them became even more energized to fight. Hanuman, who was very, very strong, looked like the sun on top of the Mandara mountain, because that's where the sun first rises, the Mandara mountain. His anger increased. And he looked so angrily at Aksha, it was as if he was burning Aksha and all of his vehicles and armies just by looking at him. Then Aksha did not wait. He was still showering arrows as if a cloud showers rain. Means incessant, non-stop, one after the other, volley of arrows towards Hanumanji. Hanuman sprung up into the sky with his body becoming really big and roaring loudly, in fact, roaring with joy. Nanada harshat ghanatulya vikramaha. Ghana is a cloud. Nanada harshat. Hanuman did not get any slightly doubtful or unenthusiastic. In fact, with each piercing arrow, his enthusiasm and anger to fight with Aksha grew, and so Hanuman jumped up in the sky and roared loudly. And Hanuman approached from the sky towards Akshay as if an elephant approaches hay, like quickly, swiftly, and very clear. That's how I'm going to attack Aksha. While Aksha is forcing all these arrows, Hanuman is roaring in the sky. Even Aksha jumped into the sky with him, and both of them are fighting with each other. Akshay is in his chariot up in the sky. Hanuman is also in the sky, and they're fighting with each other. So Hanuman, who himself is also as quick as the wind and as strong as the mind and wind, he was dodging the arrows and very quickly moved towards Aksha. And as Aksha is raising his bow to shoot more arrows, Hanuman Hanuman thought, enough is enough. And Hanuman is also this is Hanuman is looking at Akshay and is actually in one sense delighted and surprised at the strength and prowess of Aksha's capability, his strength, his dexterity. First, Hanuman says, wow, this guy looks so powerful. My mind is not agreeing to kill him because he is very skilled. He's an excellent opponent for me. He's intelligent. He's strong. He's well composed, highly tolerant in battle, which means he's not whimsical or frivolous. He's fighting very carefully thinking. Like in a chess game, you just don't move all your warriors without thinking. It's a game of intelligence, strategy. You have to think multiple steps ahead. That is how he's doing. Hanuman's thinking, wow, this fellow is someone. He almost is like one of the Nagas or Yakshas who's such a divine person. He's standing in front of me, looking me in the eye, and his enthusiasm is not reducing at all. He's moving so swiftly, deftly. However, if I ignore him, he will become stronger and stronger. So the only option left for me is to kill him. Because when a fire is spreading, you shouldn't stand and just watch. You need to extinguish that fire. Na vardhamano agnihi upekshitum kshamaha. Na vardhamano agnihi. You should not allow fire to spread. You should immediately extinguish it. Thinking like this, Hanuman thinking like this, Hanuman used karate with his palms. Tala prahalai pavanatmaja kapi. Tala means with his palms. With his palms, because he was big, pummeled his 8 horses that were moving at such speed. And this one slap, if you will, or either this way, tala could mean this way, like a karate chop or a slap, regardless. The power with which Hanuman hit the 8 horses, all of the horses immediately died. Tataha talena abhihito maharataha स तस्य पिंग अधिप मंत्र निर्जितः सभग्न नीड परिमुक्त कुबरः पपात भूमौ हतवाज्यंबरात्. The force with which Hanuman struck the horses and then another on the chariot, immediately from the sky, the entire chariot, the horses, the pole, the flag, everything just smashed and fell on the ground. Akshay Kumar got so angry that his entire chariot was destroyed by one shot of Hanuman. Akshay leaped up into the sky. How did he leap up into the sky? Just like a sage moves towards the celestial places or into the Vaikuntha, leaving behind his mortal body. Tapo abhiyogad rishi ugra viryavan vihaya deham marutam iva alayam. Just as a sage releases his body and goes away, Aksha left his destroyed chariot and leapt into the sky. And they were fighting in the sky. Then Hanuman, when Aksha came towards him, caught Aksha's legs or feet and started whirling him 1,000 times. Just like Garuda, who catches a snake and whirls the snake. Imagine Hanuman's power and the speed with which Akshay was given a maha-centrifugal experience. And the more he was whirling him, obviously, the centrifugal force near his head becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, and Akshay couldn't do anything. And while he was whirling him, bashed him to the floor. You've seen washermen in India, they swirl the cloth and they bash it to a stone to remove all dirt and stain. They bash it. Similarly, like how Lord Balaram took Dhenukasura's hind legs and whirled him and threw him on top of the tala tree, Hanumanji whirled him and crushed him like that to the floor very, very strongly. The intensity, first of all, that centrifugal power, and then putting him down on the ground, Valmiki says, Akshay Kumar was completely destroyed. Sabhagna Bahu Uru Kati Shirodhara. Bhagna means broken or smashed. Bahu, his arms. Uru, his thighs. Kati, his hips. Shiraha, his head. And Dharaha, Shiradhara, his neck, sorry. Shiradhara, neck. Ksharan Ashran Nirmatita Asthilochanaha. His eyes got crushed or they popped out of their sockets. Sabhinna samdhihi pravakirna bandhano. All his joints were broken. Hatakshita vayu sutena rakshasaha. They his joints got shattered. Everything, he became pulverized. The force with which Hanuman hit him on the ground. Everybody uh, who is in the sky watching this fight, the sages, the demigods, the celestials, they became so stunned by Hanuman's power and prowess and the way in which he finished Ravana's son Aksha. As soon as Aksha was killed, guess what Hanuman does? Nihatyatam Vajra Sutopama Prabham Kumaраmaksham Kshataja Upama Ikshanam Tadeva Viro Abhijagamatoranam Kritakshana Kala Eva Prajakshaye. This is the verse that constantly is a refrain. Abhijagamatoranam Kritakshana Kala Eva Prajakshaye. And back on the Toranam, he stood there looking like the time energy that is going to destroy all living beings. Can you imagine what impact this would have on Ravana? Ravana is completely besides himself. In one sense, we don't know if he wants to cry, if he was angry, or a mix of all those emotions. Has any one of us experienced when something happens that is far beyond our comprehension? We say our mind is reeling. It's reeling because there are so many emotions getting mixed one after the other. There is fear, there is anger, there is anxiety, there is hatred, there is a whole bunch of things mixed into it. That's what's going on with Ravana. And he doesn't have one head, all his 10 heads were reeling. And yet Hanuman is ready, back on the Toranam. What is the meaning? Ma manusmara yuddhacha. His mind and intelligence are completely offered, surrendered to Sri Ramachandra. And that is why he's able to fight. Aksha represents the internal senses. So the senses are both external and internal. We call this the ear. But this is just an instrument on the outdoor that holds or catches sound waves. But the hearing is done internally. The all the senses have an internal, that is aksha. Therefore Lord Vishnu is called adhokshaja, one who pushes the senses down, or one who is far beyond the reach of the senses. Akshaja, anything that is born within the, or anything that is born from the ability to speak akshaja, because language begins with a and ends with ksha. Sanskrit language. Akshaja means anything born from language, the ability to describe. How can one describe the Supreme Lord if one has no experience of the Supreme Lord? Therefore, we follow Valmiki, Vyasadeva, our Acharyas, Prabhupada, our Gurus, because their experience of the Lord is what the words they say, because that's what they've seen. Krishna says to Arjuna, Tattvadarshi, they have seen the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, Akshaja, ordinary people can talk whatever they want to talk. They can come up with all the creative ways in which they describe the Supreme, and they're completely wrong, because Akshaja is far beyond Adha Akshaja. He pushes down anything that one tries to grasp with. An Akshaja also means Aksha is eyes. So anything that one can see is reality. One who can't see, or we can't see something, we say it doesn't exist. It's easy to say it doesn't exist. So here Aksha represents the conglomerate of internal senses. That Hanuman world. One should not. The message for us is, as a sadhaka practitioner, one should not give in to the urge of the senses. Of course, it's easier said than done. I keep repeating this, it's easier said than done for me. But that's the example Valmiki is writing for us, and Hanuman is showing us that one who is dedicated his mind and intelligence to the Supreme Lord. Mam anusmara yuddha. If there is anusmara, there is yuddha. If there is no anusmara, there is no yuddha. There is no fighting with the senses. One just surrenders, gives up. Without anusmara, the fight is a battle where the outcome is very clear. The living entity is destroyed by the senses, or captivated, overpowered, defeated. Parabhavastavad yavanna jignasata atmatattvam. Yavat kriya tavadidam manovai. Karmatmakam yena sharira bandha is what we discussed last week. Parabhava, one becomes embarrassed, defeated. Again and again, again and again. Why? Anusmara may not be there. So one who does not have Mam Anusmara, the meditation, the alertness about Krishna's service. I am Krishna's servant. I have to see things in a mood of service. When that Anusmara becomes either weakened or gone, until then there is Yuddha, there is fight. Hanuman is able to fight and win because of this principle. Sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddha cha maya arpita mano buddhi. And if that's gone, parabhava, one is defeated. So that's this chapter, chapter number 47. And let's see if there are any comments, questions. You like the fighting description? I like this verse very much. I'll read it one more time just because the poetry is fantastic. There it is. Where is it? And I'm hoping that you're following along, looking at the book so you can appreciate these verses. I think I sent a link on our WhatsApp group for the Sundara Kanda verses to look at. If you're not, please make it a habit to follow along and habit to go and read the chapter on your own as well. If you want to read it in English, valmikiramayana.net is there. Sometimes the words are broken differently. The meanings are a little convoluted. Sometimes the words are wrong. But in general, you can get the spirit of it and move along. Here's the verse. Rarasa bhumi na tatapa bhanuman. Vavau na vayu prachachala achalaha. Actually, if you read it together, it is Vavau na vayu prachachala chachalaha. Kape kumarasya cha viksha samugyam. Nanada cha dyauhu udadihi cha chukshubhe. Such alliteration. Okay. Any questions, comments, thoughts, reflections? Please tell me you are reading along the Ramayana so that you're following the chapter, because I'm summarizing certain verses. Okay. Open forum.
So, Prabhu,
Nothing.
since it was a fighting scene, so I cannot think of anything, but it was really wonderfully described. And I could
Yeah.
feel the power of Hanuman. So that was
Yeah.
the most important thing.
That
And
is
when
it.
I was listening to all this, I thought listening the name of Hanuman again and again is very powerful. That is what we are doing, taking names.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. We're hearing the word Hanuman, Vayuputra,
Yeah.
Kapishwaraha,
Hmm.
etc.
Yeah. So it was really amazing. I felt that force while listening.
Anything else? Okay. We have a silent crowd today. That's
Hare
okay.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like the explanation that you gave about Aksha and the Adhokshaja, especially. Um, just a little side note, but for me, this is where I related because yesterday I was reading third canto with my children, and the description was Virat Rupa, and it was like, and we were. Govinda was recollecting. He said, "Amma, previously you spoke about Virat Rupa in a different term, and now you're saying all these things because the description now was about Brahmana, Kshatriya, and all of that." And he could remember earlier we talked about how mountains and different things, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking yesterday how we don't see the Lord, but we rely on what these great personalities are relaying to us, and so that's what I was
Yeah.
I was hearing that from you today. Adhokshaja, we can't see him. We don't know him. It is these personalities through Vyasadeva and through Valmiki Rishi that we can know them. And so that point I could appreciate. Thank you so much.
And the connection is in the verse Anusmara, Mam Anusmara. You meditate on how the acharyas have provided us. That's our meditation, not self-styled. They have seen and we follow in that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Varshana. I appreciate that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead.
As you were mentioning, as we have earlier also heard, like Hanuman as the spiritual marvel of spiritual master, and so here we are seeing how he's whirled the Akshay-Kumara and threw him down. But with us, and you as you explained, it is representing the internal senses. So with me specifically, say it happens that senses are whirling us around, or roaming us around here and there. So how to take the steps and allow the spiritual master to take the charge and uh, work under their guidance and direction to overcome and align the senses in service of the Supreme.
Is it just me or your voice was cracking? Is that for everyone's experience like that? You could hear clearly Akhiladhara Prabhu? Everyone, you could hear him clearly?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Okay, then
Yes,
it's
Prabhu, we
my
can
thing
hear.
because
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me,
we could
everyone
hear.
who's speaking, their voices are somehow cracking. I don't know if it's my AirPods, but anyway. The answer for how to be a servant of the Guru, there is no how necessarily. I mean, how do one describe it? We say, Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vindam. We want to be an instrument through which Guru can express or pass on the teachings, elevate our character, and send us in the right direction and help others also. Is there a particular how? The answer is begin with sadhana bhakti. But it depends on the strength of connection and the clear understanding of the purpose of guru-disciple relationship. And what that Vani, as it is descending, what it means. How one holds that Vani with reverence in one's heart. This entire Ramayana is an exposition, both, I would say, The entire Srimad Bhagavatam, the entire Ramayana is an unabashed glorification of Guru Narada Muni. If you notice, Vyasadeva makes reference again and again that Narada Muni is in the picture. In the Ramayana, we don't see Narada Muni in the picture because the demigods, sages are all stepping back so that it's not clear yet that Ramachandra is the Supreme Lord. He's behaving like a human being. So even when Indra comes at Sutikshna's ashram, he sees Ramachandra is approaching. Indra goes away and says, this is not the right time for me to be here. Because if Indra sees Ramachandra, he has to offer obeisances. And everyone like, oh, who's that? The word will get to Ravana. Oh, if Indra is paying obeisances, then this is not a human being. And if that's the case, the boons that Lord Brahma gave cannot be fulfilled for Ravana. I mean, they have to be honored and maintained. So he constantly says, Atmana Manusham Manye. But if you see the way Valmiki glorifies Guru's relationship with the disciple in the story of Vishwamitra, instructing Sri Ramachandra, and Ramachandra was such an obedient student. Obedient is not just physically obedient, yes, sir, but internally, obedience or alignment. Maybe people like that word better, alignment. And it's not like Ramachandra didn't ask questions. He asked Vishwamitra Muni questions. But Valmiki himself, after being given a summary, sits in meditation about the words given by Narada Muni and writes this magnum opus of 1 billion verses and then 24,000 for us. But prior to that, he sat and was told, sit there and chant the name of Lord Ramachandra until I come back and wake you up out of this situation. That's what his fight with the senses was. It purified. Tat paratvena nirmalam. That's our end of the deal. Hrishikena Hrishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. How does one? It's our anusmara to align our body, mind, intelligence, and ultimately even our ego as the servant. Servant of the servant, more than the servant of the Lord. There's sort of a gathering of different things, but exactly how each one of us needs to find that for ourselves, because each one of our problems or hurdles, although are common, they're of the same category, the intensity and specificity is varying for us, for each one of us. And we find our way through all of that. Akhila Adhara Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Stira.
Hare Krishna. I like the part where you said with one like a karate chop. So many of horses were killed by Hanuman. I don't remember the number.
8.
But then
8 horses.
8 horses. So just with one little action, all the horses were killed. Like which to me was an indication that, or a reminder that how usually one feels, or I feel that my anarthas or whatever is the internal demons, they are stronger. They're so strong, and then the strength of those demons is like more powerful for me. And then to look, while looking at my internal demons, to look at Krishna and say Krishna is more powerful, like these Hanumanji is demonstrating that just by meditating on Lord Rama, what all he is able to do, and then the power of Lord Ram is nowhere in comparison to anything in this material world, what to speak of mm, someone's anarthas. So, like on a day-to-day basis, it may be difficult for me to reconcile. But when I was listening to your class, it felt like it was a reminder for me that Krishna or Lord Rama's power is mm, way beyond anything in this material world. So thank you for
Yes.
that.
And they invest that power in the guru's sound vibration. And it is that sound that enters, that it removes the aksha within us, the powerful senses that are constantly like ready to fight and very powerful, swift like anything. It's the guru's vani. It's the guru's vani that has that power, that what Hanuman is showing, that sometimes one sentence, something, a gesture has that power. If taken, or when taken, not if taken, when taken. And therefore there is no obstruction, no stoppage to what the guru can do. Just simply by speaking can disentangle the living entity from the body, the false ego. I shouldn't the body as if someone's going to go away, but that disconnection goes from I am this body to I'm not this body. It has that power, it has that potency.
Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Sachisuta Prabhu.
Please accept my humble obeisances on Guru Shishra Prabhupada. Prabhu, you said the hearing is internal, and though the ears or the sense objects are externally manifested. I also heard a couple of times somewhere that hearing is the first and the last sense to shut down and manifest. Is that a scriptural reference, or how to understand the hearing is internal and the manifestation of a first and last in the process of body anatomy?
Maybe it's terminology, but let's sort that out. This is not a sense object, it is a sense. Sound is a sense object that comes in contact with the sense called hearing or the ear. Ear is the gross made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, but hearing is done. There's an internal ear as well. And actually, there are subtle senses. This is the gross sense. The subtle sense is grouped around the mind. Manas sashthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. So the internal senses have these external senses. So they are subtle and gross. Think when I'm using internal and external, think subtle and gross. That's that one. Now, as far as the first and last, I'm not sure that reference. If you find the reference for me, please let me know. But in general, it says that the ear is the most active sense because when one is sleeping, no other sense is as active. If someone is cooking something, you can't smell the fragrance of the food. You can't touch it, you can't taste it, but you can hear when someone makes a noise. That's how one is woken up with sound, because that's the only sense that is the first to get activated in that sense. In that sense. But I'd love to get that reference if you can find it. And if someone else knows it, post it on the WhatsApp group. We'll be happy to read it. Okay, 9:30. Thank you very much. May Sri Hanumanji be our hero, our inspiration, and may we model our life after his way of serving, his way of remembering Sri Ramachandra, Sita Devi, Lakshmana, and all the other servants of the Supreme Lord. May he teach us how to be an instrument to carry the words of Guru and Sri Krishna, Sri Ramachandra. May he teach us how to respect all the sadhus, Lakshmana and others. May he teach us how to be a servant of the servant of the servant. Although he is so mighty, he sees himself as a servant of Sugriva and a small tiny piece or person in the army under Angada's guidance and rule and orders, is a servant of the servant of the servant, and yet very, very mighty and powerful. At no point in time he thinks of it as his own strength. He stands on the Toranam, constantly meditating on Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramachandraya, and let that be the way we guide our lives. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki jai.